Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining for today's RoomKeyPMS webinar covering packages, inclusions, guest services, and add-ons. For today's webinar, we're going to go over some introductions at the very beginning. We'll also go through some definitions. We're going to define what these things are, why we've kind of grouped them all together in one webinar session like today. Then we'll talk a little bit more about definitions, defining what are packages and inclusions. We'll look at how to use packages and inclusions module and how to use the guest services module. Then we'll look at when you can start using these modules, and we'll wrap it all up with a summary and Q&A. So getting started with our introductions today, my name is Tasha Leclerc, and I'm a trainer and implementation specialist with RoomKey since 2015. Prior to that, I worked in hotels for about 10 years. Alongside me today, I do have our Director of Customer Experience, Mr. William Tam. He has been working with RoomKey since 2014, and prior to RoomKey, he also worked in hotels and hospitality, food and beverage. Now for today, I'll be leading today's presentation, and I do have William who will be overseeing the chat and any Q&A throughout today's presentation. So I do know that everyone attending today's webinar presentation is currently muted. So if you do have any questions as we go through today's presentation, please make sure that you enter those questions into the Q&A section. William will be monitoring those and answering any questions that are not answered directly through the presentation. We do have that Q&A session at the end of the presentation to kind of tie anything together there. Now, speaking of today's presentation, I just wanted to make a couple of notes about today's webinar. It is being recorded, and a recording will be provided on our public website later today. After today's webinar, those of you that are attending today's live session, you will receive a prompt to complete a webinar survey. I do ask you to complete a survey. It's a couple of quick questions there. We do ask for any feedback or suggestions for any future webinar presentations, and that helps us keep this monthly webinar series going. Speaking of webinar series, I am happy to announce that our next webinar is going to be covering group blocks topics inside RoomKey. So stay tuned for registration information for our next webinar that will be hosted mid-June. So diving right into our topic for today, packages, inclusions, guest services, and add-ons, what are these things? They are all based on services that are added to or bundled with a room rate. So services could be anything that is not a guest room accommodation or a room rate. These could be a parking charge. It could be a fee for having a pet in a room. These services can be added to a guest stay to help enhance their stay, and also helps increase the revenue that you are able to collect throughout a guest stay. So providing services to guests at a cost is a good way to increase that average revenue per occupied room. Now, when we're talking about services, like I said here in this definition, there's a couple different ways that we can include those with a room rate. We can bundle them or pre-package them as a package. We use our packages and inclusions module to set this up, and we'll see that in action in today's presentation. These are really handy types of packages, things like a bed and breakfast package or a weekend getaway package. These are pre-assembled and predetermined with one fixed price that allows you or allows the guest to easily select a package that suits their travel needs. Now we can also use services individually and add them to existing reservations. This is more of an a la carte style of adding services to a booking. So I have guest services here and add-ons. We use the term add-ons to define any guest services that are booked online that the guest themselves is adding on to their booking. So with an a la carte guest service or add-on, the guests themselves, there can be unrestricted, so they're not required to book a pre-packaged rate. They can kind of choose a standard rate, maybe a best available rate or a discount rate like a AAA. And to that rate, they can add services that they prefer throughout their stay. So it could be parking. They could want to include breakfast for maybe 1 or 2 nights of their stay, but not have it for the remainder of their stay. Very customizable, that a la carte option there using guest services. But going back to our pre-packaged or packaged rates here, I wanted to dive in a little bit more about how RoomKey uses the terms inclusion and package. So we're going to go over to our next slide here and just discuss a little bit more of the details and how RoomKey uses those terms, packages, and inclusions. So an inclusion is a type of package where the guest is not restricted to a length of stay. So we consider that unrestricted LOS, or length of stay. The guest could stay for 1 night with an inclusion package, or they could stay 10 nights with the same inclusion package. It doesn't matter the length of stay. The service charges are repeated daily. So a good example of an inclusion package would be bed and breakfast, where the guests each night of their stay, whether they're staying 1 night or 3 nights, they are paying for accommodation and breakfast the next morning, all bundled into that inclusion package. And that breakfast service charge repeats every single day throughout the guest stay. Now that is different to the way that a package behaves inside RoomKey, where it is actually restricted length of stay. So when you are creating a package, you are defining how long the guest is going to stay. So something like a 2-night weekend package the guest would be required to stay 2 consecutive nights in order to qualify for a package like that. They would not be able to stay 1 night or 3 nights. It must be that restricted length of stay, that specifically 2-night stay. Now with a package, you can bundle a variety of types of services into that package itself. You do not need to make the service charge repeatable. You could have repeatable service charges like breakfast each day, but you could also have a one-time service, maybe a welcome amenity upon arrival, maybe flowers or champagne in the room if it is a romance weekend, and then you can have a repeatable service like breakfast repeat each day throughout that 2-night stay. So a couple of main differences there on how RoomKey does define an inclusion package versus a package. Now, both of these types of packages can be created and managed using RoomKeyPMS's Packages and Inclusions module. So here we're going to see how we can use that module. And I've got a couple of video clips showing on the screen that are going to show us how to go through and use the Packages and Inclusions module to create these types of packages. So I'm going to start here with our inclusion package. Remember, this is going to be unrestricted length of stay, but the service charge is going to repeat daily. Now, this video clip is just about 7 minutes long, and in this clip, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a car sleep-free inclusion package that will include accommodation and free parking for the guest. So let's take a look on screen. There are 5 steps required to create a new inclusion package. First step is to prepare your database. In the rate wizard, you will create a new rate plan using this as the package base rate. When you create this package, you will make sure that it is distributed to the hotel website and direct hotel distribution channels, if applicable. For the purposes of this demonstration, this rate is also tier enabled. This rate is going to be equal to the best available, or bar rate. Please note that this rate should not have any client types attached. under the Client Types tab. Next, you will create an Other Transaction Code in the Transaction Codes module. Make sure you navigate to Other Charge and select Add to create your new transaction code. Because this is an inclusion package, you will want to create your transaction code with a repeatable pattern set to yes, repeated section is daily, and per person or per room settings are fine. The important part is that this transaction code is set up as a daily repeatable pattern. The second step to create an inclusion package is to now access the Packages and Inclusions module. From System Configuration, we'll select Packages and Inclusions. This module will open up on screen, and you will select the Inclusions button. And to begin creating a new package, you will select Add. You will now complete the required information. On the General tab, the required information includes short name, a name for the package, the valid from and to dates. You want to make sure that this is marked as an active package, and you can choose from a list of rate categories. In this case, I've selected package rates. On the right-hand side, you'll make this available to the internet if you want to distribute this out to your eRes booking engine. If not, you can leave that space unchecked. When it comes to the scope, I do recommend you select a private scope, because a public scope will add this package to all client types, including corporates and groups. By selecting a private scope, this allows us to choose individual client types that are applicable for this package. Lastly, you'll want to add a description describing what is included each night throughout the guest stay for this package. You will now select OK. The third step to creating an inclusion package is to define the room types and rates for this new inclusion package. So I'm going to select the Room Types and Rates tab. On the right-hand side, I can see a list of available room types inside the hotel. I'm going to select each room type individually, use the Include button to move it over to the left-hand side, and here I'm going to select the Rate column to select my package base rate. There it is right there, Car Sleep Free Package Base Rate. Then I select Post. You will repeat those steps, selecting the room type on the right-hand side, moving it to the left and selecting the rate for each applicable room type. The fourth step to creating an inclusion package is to add the package transactions to the new package. To do that, you will select the Package Transaction tab. To add transactions into this package, we will select the transaction from the right-hand side. The first transaction you should always select is the room charge transaction. Select Include. That now appears on the left-hand side. The next thing I do is to select the Parking Package Transaction Code. There it is at the bottom for Package Parking. I select the Include button, and that moves it over to the left-hand side. In this amount field, I can now define the price for that parking inclusion. Now you can use the same pricing that is applicable for your standard parking rate, or you can use a discount amount, or in this case, where parking is included for free, I'm going to enter a $0 amount for this package parking. You'll note that you do not need to enter an amount for the room charge because that will depend upon the room type and rate that the guest selects while booking the package. So you will leave the amount field blank for the room charge, but you will add a price, or if it is complimentary, you'll add $0 for any included package items, such as this package parking. Once you have added in your package transaction codes, which include the room charge code and any other charges, you can also give this package a name, a T-code name, and a T name. This will be what appears on the guest final folio, so I do recommend that you use the same short name and name that you've used for the package up above. You can now select Post. The final step to creating a new inclusion package is to make it bookable. This means that we now need to attach this new package to our individual client types. And navigate to your Client Types module. From System Configuration, select Client Types. Here you will select your applicable client type. I'm going to use the Leisure client type. You will select the Rates tab, select your room type. In this case, I'll start with the DK room type, and on the right-hand side, you will search for your new package. Please note that you will want to select the package itself, in this case, Car Sleep Free. You do not select the package base rate. So make sure that you select the package and use the black arrow to move it over to the left-hand side, List of Attached Rates. You will now see it appear at the bottom, and you will select Post. You will repeat that process for each room type. I have now completed this step for each room type for the Leisure client type. Now, if you do want this rate to also be available to book through your eRes booking engine, you will need to select your Web client type. Here is the client type used for the hotel website / eRes booking engine. Once again, you will select the Rates tab, select your room type, and on the right-hand side, you'll search for your new package rate. So with the package selected, I use the black arrow and select Post. I can now repeat this for each subsequent room type. Once you have added the package to each room type for each applicable client type, the package is now available to book. Thanks. So that video shows us from start to finish how to create an inclusion package. Now, I do want to contrast that a little bit with the same module, the Packages and Inclusions module, but this time we're going to see a video clip on how to create a package. So once again, when we look at this next video clip, this is going to be a restricted length of stay. In this video clip, I'm going to create a 2-day spa package, which is going to include accommodation, a one-time $100 spa credit, and breakfast each day for each guest. So because it is a 2-day spa package, we will see how we can apply that restriction or length of stay restriction when we're creating the package. And because there are two types of services, services that post once, like the $100 spa credit, and the ones that repeat the breakfast each day. We'll see how that is set up as well. So we're going to, in this example, see using one rate, package base rate, and we'll also see 2 transaction codes. There are 5 steps required in order to create a new package in RoomKeyPMS. The first step is to prepare your database. Here in the Rate Wizard, I've created a new package base rate that is distributed through the hotel website and direct hotel distribution channels. You'll also notice that this rate is tier enabled. This rate is tiered off of the best available rate. Another feature of this rate plan is that there are no client types attached in the Client Types tab. Next, you must also create new transaction codes under the Other Transactions section. Here is my transaction code for a $100 spa credit, and I've also created a second transaction code for a daily breakfast charge. The second step to create a new package is to open the Packages and Inclusions module. That's found in System Configuration, Packages and Inclusions. When the module opens up, you will select the Packages tab and select the Add button to create a new package. You must enter all required fields in the General tab. In this case, I've created a short name and given the package a name. I've also defined the number of nights required in order to book this package, which is 2. After that, I've also indicated when the package is active, date from, date to, selected the active checkbox, and also added this to the package rates category. This package will be available on the internet via eRes booking engine. However, you can leave that space unchecked if it is not applicable to your business. Next is the scope, and I've indicated that this is a private scope. If you select public, it means that the package will be attached to all client types, including corporates and groups. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will keep the package private, and I've added a description. You can now select OK. The third step to creating a new package is to define the room types and rates. You will select the Room Types and Rates tab. On the right-hand side, you will select the applicable room type, use the Include button, and then on the left-hand side, click the Rate column to select the applicable package base rate. Then select Post. You will repeat that process for all applicable room types on the right-hand side. The next step to create a package is to add the package transactions. Select the Package Transaction tab, and on the right-hand side, select your room charge transaction code. Use the Include button to move that transaction code to the left-hand side. You will now select your package transaction codes as well. That includes my $100 spa credit and my daily breakfast charge. You can update or modify the amounts in the amount field. In this case, breakfast daily package charge will be $14. You can now add a T code and T name for the package. This is what will appear on the guest final bill. Select Post to save these changes. The last step is to now make the package bookable by attaching client types. You'll go to System Configuration and Client Types to open up the Client Types module. Once the module opens up, select your leisure client type, then select the Rates tab. Select your room type, then on the right-hand side, select your package. Do not select the package base rate. Make sure you are selecting your actual package. Then you can use the black arrow to move it over to the left-hand side and select Post. You will repeat that process for each applicable room type. Once that is completed for your leisure client type, for all applicable room types, you can now scroll to search for your web client type. You will repeat that process by selecting the Rates tab, select your room type, and on the right-hand side, select the package. Use the black arrow to move the package to the left-hand side of Attached Rates, and select Post. Once again, repeat that process for each room type for this web client type. Once that is completed, the package is now available to book on both the web and leisure client types. So that video was a little bit shorter, but it did still show us all of those very similar steps. Also was able to highlight how a package does require that length of stay restriction there, the number of nights defined when you're creating the package itself. So now that we've had an opportunity to see how these packages and inclusions are created using the Packages and Inclusions module, I'm going to bring up RoomKey so we can see this in a live demo database here. So this opens up on screen. This is a demo database where I created those new packages. I'll show you some features when you create a package and when guests book that package. Here I have some guests that are in-house that have booked the Car Sleep Free package. You'll notice that the package name actually appears right here in the rate code. I can also see I've got some 2-day spa package as well. When I take a look at the folio for this guest, Mr. Myers. I select the Folio tab, and I will see a list of all of those charges. Now, this is the inclusion package. And again, we can see that T code and T name showing up here as the T code and description on the guest folio. I can tell that these are package charges because to the left column here, I see a package icon. This lets me know that this transaction code, this T code CARS package, is actually made up of separate transaction codes. And because this is an inclusion package, those transactions repeat throughout the guest stay here. Now we can see the very same thing happening for our guest that is staying with a 2-day spa package. When I take a look at their folio, I can see that on screen here, and it has the T code and T name that we set up for the 2-day spa package. You can also see that there's that package icon there. So when you're building an inclusion package or a package, when the guest sees their final bill, they will simply see a single charge here. A common question that I get is, can you break that out, or can you see those different components? And the answer is yes. So when you go to click on guest folio and print this guest folio, you will have an option here to display package components. So if you want to, instead of showing just this bundled charge, if you want to see what is inside that bundle or the package itself, you'll select display package components. And here I'm just going to select print so we can see a print preview of what that looks like. So when I zoom in here, I can see not only that the package has those different components. There's my breakfast charge, which is actually a daily breakfast charge. So I can see it posting on the 16th, and it'll post as well for the 17th. I can also see my $100 spa credit. That is not a repeatable service. That is a one-time credit that is included with this package, so it only posts once. And then, of course, I see my room charge. Now that, because this is a 2-day or 2-night package, that room charge does post on both days throughout the guest stay, so both the 16th and the 17th. So while the guests may only see the one charge for their 2-day spa package, you do have the ability to break out these components if you'd like to pass it on to your accounting team for accounting purposes there. I'm just going to close up our preview here. Wonderful. Now, I want to show how you can actually book these packages. And it's very similar to how you would book a regular reservation in RoomKey. You would start by selecting New Res or Walk-in if it is a walk-in. When the New Res window opens up on screen, it'll just appear on screen here. Because we attached the package to the leisure client type, which is actually the default client type for this database, I don't need to change anything. I can simply enter the guest's arrival and departure information. We will have them arriving tomorrow for 2 nights. When I refresh the calendar view here, that will update and show me my availability for rooms. I can select the black arrow in the rate column to now select my rate, and you will see those packages appear here as part of the list of rates. So if I scroll down to the bottom here, I've got a 2-day spa package, and what you'll notice as well is if there's any restrictions. So here there is a restriction on the car sleep free. Now we can take a look at how to apply restrictions in just a moment, but I just wanted to show you that this will show all of those packages and any other packages that are built inside the system, as long as they are attached to this leisure client type. Now, I do have this car sleep free package, which was created in the demonstration that we saw. But this package we can see is actually restricted. It appears in red. And if I try to book it, it will let me know that I need to override the restriction in order to book this rate type. This warning message appears because I do have access to enable restriction overriding. That is permission-based. So if you are a front desk agent that does not have access to this permission, the ability to override a restriction, instead of seeing this message, you would actually see a similar warning message letting you know that you cannot proceed. You would need to have a manager or supervisor with the permission override that for you. But going back to our package here that is restricted, if you wanted to see more information about how this is restricted, you can click the column at the top. It says click to view restrictions. And I'll just scroll down to my car sleep free package here. And I can see that while it is available on Thursday, that this rate or this package is actually closed on Friday. So the way that this was closed is instead of doing anything on the package itself, because this is based off of a car sleep free package base rate, I can actually use the tools, the restriction tools inside the rate wizard to control this package. I can close it out like I have here for Friday, May 20th. You can put different types of length of stay restrictions as well. So if this was an inclusion package, but I don't want someone to book it for an entire month, I can put a length of stay restriction as well. So let's see how that's done inside the rate wizard. What I'm going to do is actually remove this restriction for the May 20th. So let me just close out of this reservation. I'm not going to complete it. I'm going to go directly to the rate wizard from System Configuration, Rate Wizard. Once this opens up, I'm going to locate my car sleep free package base rate, which appears partway down here. Now, in order to control the restrictions, it is just like you would control the restrictions on a rate plan itself. You would select the Next button in the bottom right-hand corner. This is going to open up on screen. And for those of you that are familiar with updating rates and rate restrictions here in the rate wizard, you will see the rate grid on top, but you're going to go directly to the date range. Now, I do see that this restriction is applied for all of the Fridays and Saturdays. I'm going to remove that for just one date. So I'm going to remove the restriction from May 20th. I'll select my date from May 20th. Make sure that my date 2 is also selected as May 20th. Now, RoomKey recognizes that that is a Friday, so it's automatically selected the Friday from the list of the days of the week here. And I'm going to open closed rate. Select that checkbox there and select Save. This is now going to update my close restriction. When I select OK, I can view those changes in the calendar view below. Let me just pull that up here so it shows on screen. In this calendar view, I now see that May 20th, the package is. So when I close out of the rate wizard itself and go back to new res, I should be able to book that car sleep free package for 2 nights. Let's do arriving tomorrow for 2 nights. And when I take a look at the rate, once again, I can scroll down and I see that that package is now available to book. It no longer appears in red. I can select the package itself. I can select the rate and continue with my booking. Let me just cancel out of there. So that's a couple of the common questions that I see coming through with how to control packages and inclusions built using the packages and inclusions module there. So let's go back to our presentation. And now that we've been able to define these types of packages and see how to create them, I also want to take those steps to talk about the guest services. So taking a look once again at how to use guest services, we have our guest services and add-ons. And a quick recap from a little bit earlier in this presentation, a guest service is booked through the hotel direct. So these could be, a guest makes their reservation and they request to have an amenity in their room. Maybe they want to have a bouquet of flowers as a welcome amenity placed into their room. That would be a guest service that is booked hotel direct because the guest is asking for that service by speaking directly with either a reservation agent or a front desk agent. And that's a little bit different. Add-ons are types of guest services, but these are booked by the guests themselves through the eRes booking engine. So if your property does not use the eRes booking engine, all of your guest services are just called guest services. Anytime a guest wants to book or add something to their booking, like parking or, as we'll see in today's example, a pet fee, to have a pet in the room, they would actually contact the hotel directly for those. But if you do use your eRes booking engine attached to your website to drive bookings directly into RoomKey, we can go one step further. Once we create a guest service, we can then distribute it to the eRes booking engine. And when it's distributed there, it's called an add-on. So I have a couple of video clips here. These are much shorter. It's a very quick process to get these set up in your database. So we'll take a look at how to create a guest service first. This first clip is a little less than 2 minutes, and we'll see how we can use an existing transaction code. So a pet fee transaction code, we're going to take that transaction code and use it as a guest service. So we're going to turn that into a guest service for pet in room.
There are 2 steps required to create a new guest service. The first step is to prepare your database. In the Transaction Codes module, you will create a new Other charge. You can select Add to create a new transaction code, or in this example, I will use our existing pet fee transaction code. Please note the repeatable pattern for this transaction code is repeatable daily per room. The second step is to open the Guest Services module. Here in System Configuration, you will select Guest Services, and the module will open up on screen. Select the Services tab and select the Add button to create a new guest service. You will need to complete all required fields on the Main tab, and in this example, I've gone ahead and done that for you by creating a code, name, description, and I've also recreated the repeatable pattern, same as the transaction code, repeatable daily, and applied to the room. Next, I've also made this transaction based using the pet transaction code selected from the drop-down list. The standard rate for that transaction code is $10. Now, as an option, I can also attach a vendor or grouping using the fields below. To create a new vendor or edit existing vendors, you can do that on the Vendors tab. And if you'd like to add or create a new grouping, you can do that on the Service Groupings tab. Once you've added all your required information, you can now select Post on the right-hand side. This new guest service is now available to apply to any future reservations.
Great. So that allowed us to see that process of using an existing transaction code. Of course, if you don't have an existing transaction code, you can go through and create one first, and then use the guest services module to create your guest service. Now, like I said, the add-ons are a special type of guest service that is distributed to your eRes booking engine. And our next video clip is going to demonstrate how to take that existing guest service. We're going to use the exact same one that was created, so pet in room, and we're going to add it to distribute through the eRes booking engine.
There are 3 steps required in order to distribute your guest services on your eRes booking engine as add-ons. The first step is to prepare your database. Here in the Guest Services module, we're going to use an existing guest service, Pet in Room. This is active with an active checkbox. Next, in the Rate Wizard, we're going to use an existing rate plan, the best available rate, which is distributed through the hotel website distribution channel. You can close the Rate Wizard, and the next step is to open the Rates module. In System Configuration, you will select Rates. Do not open the Rate Wizard. In the Rates module, you will use the Room Type field to select your applicable room type, and then scroll through the list of available rates until you find a rate plan, the best available rate that is distributed through the hotel website, as indicated with the /hotel website in the name. Next, you will select the Online Booking Guest Services tab. In this tab, you will find a list of your active guest services. Select the checkbox next to the service you want to distribute online and select Update. Now you will need to repeat this process for each room type. So the final step is to repeat this process. Select the room type. Once again, locate the best available rate /hotel website. Select your online booking guest services and select Update. Once you've done that for each applicable room type, this guest service will now be available to book for online guests booking through your eRes booking engine. It will appear as an add-on pop-up during the booking process.
So we've seen not only how to create a guest service, but now how to add it to your eRes booking engine, so you can give the option for the guest to add it on to a booking while they go through that booking process. Now I'm going to open up RoomKey once again and show you some of the benefits of using an existing transaction code and creating these guest services for your database. So once again, I have RoomKey database open up on screen. And I've got a couple of questions that are usually asked. Why would you use a guest service at all if you already have the transaction code? And that's a valid question. In RoomKey, you may already be used to using transaction codes to post charges and charge for items while the guest is in-house. So for example, here, if I wanted to post a charge, maybe this guest, Mr. Stanley Myers, brought a pet with him, so I'm going to charge him a pet fee. I would select Post Charges. I would look for my pet fee transaction code. There it is right there. And because it's a repeatable transaction code, I could set it up as a daily repeatable feature. Now, I can do this because this guest, Mr. Stanley Myers, is currently in-house. So I can post charges to guests that are in-house, but you'll notice that this ability to post charges is only available while the guest is in-house or after they've checked out. You are not able to post charges to future or arrival reservations. So if I go over here to my arrivals, and if I want to charge this guest for a pet in the room, when I go through to click post charges, I do not have the option to charge them before they arrive. So that's where the benefit of a guest service comes in. Guest services are pre-scheduled, so you can apply them to a future reservation. You just cancel out of here. You would be able to select the reservation. And in fact, this reservation was made through the hotel website. I can see that listed here. When you double click the reservation or select change res, this is going to open up the reservation screen. So just as you're used to seeing, where you use the calendar tab to book the rate and room type, you use the guest info tab to add the guest contact information and payment details. And then on the services tab, this is where your guest services will be held. So we see on the guest services tab, any guest services that are already attached to the booking, that will appear listed here. So it looks like this guest is traveling with 2 pets, so 2 cats, and we've got that price per pet listed there. On the right-hand side, this is where the list of available guest services appear. And if you are using groupings, you can actually use this groupings drop-down menu to select a grouping to better refine your search through this list of guest services. So if I wanted to add maybe some hotel services, let's include valet parking for this guest, I would select the service, use the black arrow, and that will move that service over to the left-hand side where it appears as a line item. Now, depending on how this service is built, you will see a price and item number listed throughout the guest stay. So in this case, this guest has 1 vehicle and the valet parking price is $20 per vehicle per night. If the guest is telling me that they're bringing 2 vehicles, I can change this service. I can change that item number from 1 to 2. And if I'd like, I can also give a price discount. So instead of 2 cars, if it's just 1 car, but I'm giving a discounted valet price, I can click the price value here and change that. Maybe we'll take it down to $15. Now, depending on the number of items that are listed here, as well as the price, you will see those service charges and any applicable taxes appear down here in the lower right-hand corner. Another thing to note with these services, they are considered other charges. They are not included as part of the room rate. So when we're looking at the rate breakdown for this guest stay, these charges, their net value will appear within other charge. And if there's any taxes applicable, that will appear as part of the taxes calculation here as well. So you can see that the benefit of having these guest services built inside your system, it allows you to do this a la carte customization for the guest stay before they even arrive. So I know that this guest is going to be traveling with a pet. In fact, they've got 2 cats. And I know that they'll also be expecting valet parking during their stay. Go ahead and select OK. I'm going to save those changes. Now, of course, you can go into your reservations and view the different guest services by selecting Change Res or Edit Reservation. You can also view and modify guest services if you right-click on the reservation and select Update Guest Services. This is going to give a pop-up of just the guest services tab information. So here we can see the guest services already attached. I've got my groupings where I can filter my list of services, and any changes I make, I can select OK to automatically update those for the reservation without having to open up the full reservation itself. Now, we do have some reporting that is associated with guest services as well. So here in the reports menu, there is a section for guest services. And I'm going to take a look at the guest services daily. If you do work with any third-party vendors and you've set them up on that Vendors tab in the Guest Services module, you can pull a report based off of the vendor themselves as well. I'm going to stick to Guest Services Daily. And when you're looking at your Guest Services reporting, by default, it will always show you all guest services for the current day, but because this is a date range, I can look at several days on one single report. So let's look at the next 2 days and select OK. So this report is going to group all of the services by date, so I can see all of the services for today's date, the 18th, tomorrow, and beyond. For each service, it's going to show you that service itself. So I've got lots of pets in-house for today. It will show you the res ID, and if the room number is assigned, that room number will appear here. Now, this future reservation, this arrival for today, the room number is not assigned. And I can also see here the status of this reservation is an arrival. So I know that this guest, their room hasn't been assigned yet, but I do expect that they'll be bringing 2 cats, and they will also expect valet parking. So it's really helpful, this report, to view not only today's current services, but you can also view future days. So you can anticipate any additional services that you might need to arrange for future arrivals or throughout that guest stay there. So now that we've had an opportunity to see the guest services and how they appear inside RoomKey, I want to take one more moment to also show what that add-on, what the benefit of having that as an add-on on your eRes booking engine. So because we've added that pet in room to the eRes or to the best available rate through the hotel website, I'm just going to pull up an eRes booking engine for this database. There we go. Now this is a demo database, so this booking engine is not customized, but it will allow us to go through and search for availability and book our add-ons. So let me go ahead and select search for availability. It's going to show me a list of available rates and room types. I'm going to go through and book this best available rate by selecting Book Now. And here is the add-on pop-up that appears for me. So by adding the guest service, or by distributing the guest service to the eRes, the guests themselves, they can choose if they're going to be traveling with a pet. They also see a short description about this guest service. So it lets me know that this property will welcome dogs, cats, or rabbits, so long as they are well behaved. There is a daily fee, so I can see that charge, that $10 charge appear here. And when I select that charge, it automatically adds that as a single item here. But if I know that I'm traveling with more than one pet, I could increase or decrease the number right here on the add-on selection. And when I'm ready, I can now select Add to Add-ons to the booking. It takes me through the standard process. I would then complete my guest information, my credit card details, and complete the booking. But here, I just wanted to show you a little more information that does display during the booking process for this guest. I can select Show Rate and Add-on Details, and this is now going to show me that breakdown. So I've selected the best available rate, rate of $150 Canadian. And I also have that pet in room. So I can remove that if I decide I don't want to proceed, or you can kind of customize that, or the guests themselves can customize that there. So lots of flexibility, lots of customization that can be made when you're utilizing guest services as that a la carte option for providing additional services to your guests while they stay at your property. Now I'm going to go back to our presentation to wrap up our items for today. We've taken a look at two separate modules, the Packages and Inclusions module and this Guest Services module. And a big question you might be asking is, when can you start using these? You can actually get started right away. These modules come standard with every RoomKeyPMS database. So you will be able to see both of the Guest Services module and the Packages and Inclusions module from your RoomKeyPMS. You will find those in the System Configuration menu. Packages and Inclusions and Guest Services appears right below that one there. So looking at wrapping up our presentation for today, bit of a summary of the packages, inclusions, guest services, and add-ons. These allow you to streamline your service pricing. We can define those prices, package them up, and it also supports efficient packaging and service allocation. So we can make sure that the guests that want to book or a la carte services, that they can receive those services, and that can all be scheduled ahead of time. You're not waiting until the last moment to post those charges while before the guest checks out. So with that, I'm going to open up the floor to any Q&A. Just going to take a look at our Q&A section for today. Nope, looking good. Okay, well, it looks like William was able to answer all of our questions. We have no outstanding questions in the Q&A section. So we're going to wrap up today's webinar. Thank you to everyone for joining in and participating. I'll be getting this recording up very shortly. I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon and have a great day.